It's time for the Guitar YouTubers Community Podcast with your host, Jay Allen.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Guitar YouTubers Community Podcast. This is episode 1. I'm your host, Jay Allen. I'm trying something a little bit different with this podcast, sort of changing up the format a bit. My goal is to do one podcast a month as a way to simply summarize all the things that have been going on in the YouTube guitar and gear reviewer community. There are a ton of YouTubers, guitar YouTubers out there doing gear reviews, doing music and everything, and sometimes you might miss some of the things that are going on. So I hope to bring a little insight and commentary to the guitar content each month. So a few things that we're going to cover in today's episode. I'm going to talk about the interesting back and forth that's been going on between YouTuber John Cordy and Josh Scott of JHS Pedals, and some of the community reaction to that exchange, as well as add my own 2 cents. YouTuber Glenn Fricker of Spectre Sound Studios shared some stunning news this week. Gibson declares war on counterfeit guitars. And YouTuber Jim Lill returns to YouTube after about a 1-year-long hiatus. We'll also discuss the Trump and Hello Kitty guitar hysteria. We're going to talk about trademarks, guitar trademarks. How far is too far? We're going to talk about a big guitar name. I think it's a big guitar name. It definitely is connected to a big guitar name and has a history of guitar building. And they have announced that they're sort of throwing their hat into the cheap guitar market. We're going to talk about some guitar YouTubers out there that have less than 1,000 subscribers, who we should be watching, kind of help give these YouTubers a little bit of a leg up. And then we'll be talking about viewer comments. We're going to share viewer comments. I'm going to be sharing viewer comments from my other videos. Since this is the first episode of the podcast, we won't have any viewer comments yet, and so hopefully next month we'll have viewer comments about this video. And then I will also be announcing end of the year giveaway. We're going to be giving away some pedals, maybe a guitar. I think we're going to give away a guitar. I'm not sure which guitar yet, but it could be a good one. And that's just in time for holiday gift giving. So let's get to it. JHS and John Cordy. So what is this situation all about? Well, YouTuber John Nathan Cordy, who runs a YouTube channel under his name, John Nathan Cordy, great guitar player, very, very good guitar player. He's got a lot of great reviews. He's got a real easygoing, sort of laid-back way of presenting his YouTube content. And he's got over 1,000. He's got 132,000 subscribers. So I would have to assume that he's pretty well known in the YouTube guitar community. And he recently, less than a couple weeks ago, released a video titled "Are Pedal Companies Ripping Us Off?" So let's kind of take a listen to what that's all about.
I don't know if you saw this, but recently JHS and Josh at JHS has decided to stop making the Ross pedals, because essentially I think they had built something like 8,000 of these, and they sold quite a few early on, and then from January to like this time of this year they've sold like 300 of the pedals, like in total, which has basically shown that they flopped. I wanted to kind of ask in this video, what does this tell us about how much they're charging for these pedals? Because there was some numbers that were thrown out in this video that kind of made me think, well, something here doesn't really add up.
So basically what happens is John sort of goes on throughout the video with one of JHS's pedals, and he actually disassembles it right on screen and talks about how, you know, there's not a lot to these pedals. You know, he disassembles it and he's like, oh, there's a few parts here and there's a few parts there, and, you know, and and because JHS said that they were blowing out the Ross pedals, they were basically marking them down to cost, which was about $79. And so John had basically come to the conclusion that it cost $79 to make this pedal. JHS sold them at retail for about $150, I think it was, or more or less. And so he was like, well, why do these pedals cost so much? It's a really kind of interesting video to watch. John comes off kind of, I mean, John's a nice guy. He's a great YouTuber, great guitar player, but it just comes off as kind of naive because he's tearing this pedal apart and talking about, oh, well, there's not a lot to it. But the thing is, JHS pedals are made in the United States. They're made from U.S. source components. So that right there means that the cost of these pedals is going to be pretty expensive compared to a pedal that's, say, made in China. And so John continues on with this pedal, and he's got it all disassembled, and he's basically asking the question. I mean, he's not necessarily coming right out and saying himself, that JHS or other pedal manufacturers are ripping people off, but it's kind of implied through this video is that he's saying that JHS is ripping people off because there's not much to their pedal. Look, there's only a few components in here, and why are they so expensive? And really, as someone who has run their own business for almost 12 years, my wife and I run a sign graphics company. And so we run a business that is based on not just service, but also a product. If you're into any kind of business where you have to manufacture something or, provide not just a service, I don't know what John's history is. If I think he's a full-time YouTuber right now. I don't know what he did prior to YouTube. But if he never ran a business where he actually had to make a product or had employees and a lot of overhead, then he wouldn't necessarily understand the markup involved in a product like this, especially if you're sourcing the materials from the United States. And according to Josh at JHS, I think he said they had like 35 employees, which is a lot of employees. But the exchange back and forth is pretty interesting between these two. So then, of course, Josh from JHS Pedals released a video of his own just 4 days ago. So it was about a week after John released his video that Josh came out with his video. So let's take a quick look at that one right here.
I spent $2.6 million. American pedal companies are getting rich. This is one of the most annoying things a builder sees on the internet. We made $10 million in 8 minutes. People pick up a statement like this and treat it as fact. It's so frustrating. Hey everyone, it's Josh here, and someone sent me a very interesting video. It was posted about 5 days ago by John Nathan Cordy, who's a YouTuber. I've actually watched several of his videos over the years, very talented player, but this video is interesting. The title is essentially, are pedal makers, pedal companies ripping us off? And then it has, at JHS Pedals, the Ross situation is interesting, ... something like that. I watched a bit of it, and it's just full of misinformation about how pedals are made, what they cost to make, and there's a lot of assumptions that pedal builders like myself, and frankly, a lot of my friends, from Robert Healy to Brian Wampler to Earthquaker to Strymon to everyone, that we're ripping people off because of some very general observations that are misguided. So I want to watch.
So that's a little bit of Josh's response to John's video. And Josh, first of all, I gotta hand it to Josh for handling his cool during all this stuff. He really manages to just not get ticked off, and he goes through and explains. He's very transparent in this video about, what the cost is, what their overhead is like, and, that in reality, the cost of the JHS pedals is not exorbitant. I mean, they're not all running around on private yachts. They're not just, rolling in dough because of, all the money that they're making from these pedals. That there's a cut that the dealers take, and that there's a lot of overhead, and there's a lot of things, so that, if you say the pedal is, $75 cost, and the dealers sell it for $150, well, then it's 25, I think he said 25% less than that they actually sell it to the dealers for. That there's, that the dealers have to take their cut. And so once everybody's got their fingers in the cookie jar there, and so once it, all the dust settles, then what they make on them, it really isn't that much. And so it's a really interesting video. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I'm going to post all the links to all these videos in the description. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're just listening to it as a podcast, check out my channel, J Silent Music, or J Silent Guitar rather, and you can find those links to these videos. And so, of course, after Josh released his video explaining, his view and, kind of setting the record straight, then, of course, John Nathan Cordy released a video a day later, basically apologizing for, what he said about JHS. And I find it kind of interesting that John kind of singled out JHS. And I'll get to that in a minute, because I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I think nobody really has talked about except one other YouTuber, and he kind of put into words what I was thinking after I had seen these videos. So let's check out the sort of the apology video that John released.
In case you missed what happened, basically the Ross pedals situation was that Josh Scott was super transparent. He's bringing out a transparent drive sooner about the costs involved with building the Ross pedal, because he was basically blowing them out for $79. He said they cost $76 to build, and I kind of took some of the numbers from that video and kind of made some, now I know, faulty assumptions about what it might actually cost to build a pedal in America in 2024. And I was asking the question, which was, I worded it poorly, admittedly, are pedal companies ripping us off essentially as customers? Because when it comes to our door, we paid like $169 for that sort of thing. The pedals are costing JHS $76 to make. Why is the markup hitting us as it is? And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole, was like, well, let's open up the only JHS pedal I had, which is the JHS Crimson. As someone with no manufacturing pedal building background, it just seemed to me like it was expensive, so I kind of felt like $76 to build something like that, because it's a similar price. I felt like it seemed high. I now know why. So in this video, I kind of wanted to apologize to Josh for,
So that's John's apology to Josh at JHS Pedals. And, I don't think that John necessarily had any, ill intentions of, just kind of ripping on JHS Pedals. I think he was legitimately asking a question. I think it just came from a place of ignorance a little bit, in him not knowing, not really understanding how products are marked up. I mean, when I got started in business, I worked for my father in his sign business for 12 years. I actually grew up doing that. And we always kind of doubled, we took our material costs and doubled them, when we would make graphics, because we used the vinyl graphics, and we would always double the materials. And so to hear John say sort of, oh, well, why is the markup so high? I don't know. I think it just shows a lack of understanding about the way things work in manufacturing, especially when you're dealing with materials sourced from the United States. I think we as consumers, especially in this country, we're so used to buying things that are cheap, really cheap. We go to Walmart, we get stuff cheap. We go to Amazon, we get stuff cheap. Things are really cheap. So when we see something that's expensive or expensive to us in our mind, I think we automatically think that, oh, well, whoever's making this is making a lot of money on it. And that's not always the case. Not hardly of the case, especially for a small builder like JHS, and they're small, relatively speaking. So then another YouTuber sort of weighed in on this also, and this is from 5 Watt World, and I'm not sure. Keith. Okay, so the YouTubers of 5 Watt World is Keith, and he sort of created his own video. He says that he knows John, and he sort of defends John a little bit, but then he also kind of analyzes what is going on with John and the fact that he's trying to sort of get viewership, get clicks. Let me see if I can cue this video up. There we go. Okay, so his video is called Really? ? John Cordy and JHS.
So there was this back and forth this week between my good friends John Cordy and Josh from JHS. Got me thinking about a few things about taking sides, being judgmental, and holding two ideas in our head at once. So if you're a little tired of folks thinking that they know what you're thinking when they haven't even asked you, stick around, and I'm going to share some ideas on that.
So Keith goes through and sort of analyzes maybe John's mindset or his intentions, and he goes in depth into that during this time of year on YouTube, your YouTubers are actually making more money per 1,000 view than they would on a regular time of year. And so he thinks that sort of that may have influenced John a little bit, and the sort of need to sort of grab people's attention viscerally to get somebody to have an emotional response to the video that you've created. And a lot of times sort of pitting one side against the other is often a good way to do that. He also says that maybe John's, he was a little, he missed the mark a little bit with that video. And I think John agrees that he may have done that as well. So that's a very interesting video too that you might want to check out. Link will be into the description. And then so on to what I wanted to talk about, which is sort of besides the point of our pedal companies ripping us off, and then Josh defending himself and saying, no, pedal companies aren't ripping us off. There's also something that I was thinking about, which is guitar pedals are not a necessary item. It's to say that a guitar pedal company is ripping people off is kind of a bold statement, because it's not like they're not like the gas company, or they don't manufacture insulin, or they're not making something that we as consumers need to live. Guitar pedals are just this thing that you either pay the money to buy it or you don't. You either think that that's a good price for it or you don't. And there are a lot of pedals out there. There are pedals in all price ranges, just like there are guitars in all price ranges. There's cars in all price ranges. One thing that I kind of wanted to point out was that John Cordy often plays PRS guitars, and PRS by some people are considered one of the most overpriced guitars in the business. And I have to say that I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think PRS guitars are sort of a high-end guitar. Then I think Gibson is kind of pushing towards that as well, that they're definitely a luxury item. There's something there. They've got a name to themselves, and they're high end. But nobody seems to complain about, at least John Cordy's not complaining about the price of a PRS guitar. He's not saying, hey, is Paul Reed Smith ripping us off by selling $6,000 guitars? No, it's sort of, we understand that these are luxury items, that these are high-end guitars, and therefore nobody seems to complain about that. Plus, PRS offers guitars in a wide range of prices. And so while I was kind of thinking about this, that, why are we sort of picking on JHS pedals when, it's not, nobody's holding a gun to your head and forcing you to buy a JHS pedal. If you don't want to spend, $150 for a JHS pedal, just go on Amazon and spend $24 on a cheap Chinese made pedal, So I stumbled across a YouTuber that sort of put what I was thinking into words, and he kind of said it better than I did. And so this is a YouTube channel called Ashley Guitar and Pedals. And so let's check this out here. Let's see what they have to say about this situation.
Hi everyone. A recent video by John Nathan Cordy asked the question, are pedal companies ripping us off? The idea behind it was sparked by JHS selling off their Ross pedals for cost price of $79. The suggestion in the video was that this was wildly different to the retail price, and therefore JHS must be ripping us off. Josh Scott of JHS responded to this and explained the economics, but what he failed to say was this. The concept of ripping somebody off is a moral one. It's the idea that we should pay a fair price for a product that has been created. Now this is a ridiculous idea to apply to a luxury product like a guitar pedal. Nobody needs a guitar pedal. If somebody wants to create a guitar pedal, whatever that may be, and then sell it for a certain price, then that's up to them. If you as the consumer want to pay that price, then you can, and you accept that price. If you don't want to pay that price, then you don't, and you don't buy that luxury product. There's no need for this conversation around the economics and whether it's fair, basically, or not. JHS aren't selling grain or carrots, something that we need to survive. And even if they were, we live in a capitalist society where you can charge whatever you like for anything.
So that is a really good point that he brings up there in this video, and it's sort of exactly what I was thinking. It's like I guess that John sort of really missed the mark with his video, and I'm sure it was in an attempt to get views. YouTubers are under an immense amount of pressure when it comes to releasing content, especially if you are a full-time YouTuber. And basically being on YouTube is like being on a treadmill where you have to upload content continuously in order to keep your viewership up, keep your views up, keep your subscriber rate consistent. And that sort of ties into the next topic that I want to talk about. And that is YouTuber Glenn Fricker released some sort of stunning news over this week. Apparently on Sunday, his wife of 24 years suffered a stroke. And so he is going to have to sort of put his YouTube channel on hold for a while so that obviously he can take care of his wife. And Glenn Fricker is a full-time YouTuber. His channel's been around for over 10 years. He's got over 500,000 subscribers. And he really knows how to get people to watch his videos based on that, what I was talking about earlier, with that visceral reaction, claiming that, guitar players spend too much money on unnecessary equipment and that the prices of equipment is ridiculously high, and that sometimes we buy things because we think it's going to make us sound better, or we think that this is a better product because it's more expensive, or things like that. And so he has kind of mastered the whole getting people to pay attention. And so he released a video talking about how he is going to sort of take a break from making videos for a while. And it's really unfortunate that he's going through this situation. Whether you like Glenn or not, nobody should have to go through what he's going through. So let's take a listen to his video.
I need to stop making YouTube videos, at least for the time being. I'm shooting this Sunday night on November the 24th, and this is going to be a very different video from what I normally do, but I wanted to give you guys, the viewers, an update on what's going on. And Wednesday morning, my wife of 24 years suffered a stroke, and
Wednesday?
I need to put my focus on her. And I'm totally fine with doing that. That's what marriage is all about. That's what you sign up for. You take care of each other. I'm more than happy to do that. My dilemma here is that I do YouTube for a living, and YouTube is a great lifestyle. It's an amazing way to go through life. It's really, really awesome. Met so many amazing people over the years doing this, and I'm grateful for that. However, the YouTube algorithm, I swear, was based off the movie Goodfellas. You guys ever see that film? The part where the restaurant owner goes into business with the mob. And it's great because he's got all these benefits, but he's got to come with the mob's money every week. Oh, business is bad? F you, pay me. Place caught on fire? F you, pay me. Place got struck by lightning? F you, pay me. Make no mistake, the YouTube algorithm does things exactly the same way. Oh, you're getting married? Where's my fucking content? Oh, you got to take a vacation? F you, where's my content? Oh, your wife's in the ICU on a breathing tube. Where's my content?
So this is sort of what relates back to what I was talking about earlier about YouTube kind of being like on a treadmill, and the pressure of YouTubers to try to come up with content and create content and keep people interested and keep people watching. And so Glenn has sort of put out a request to his viewers to continue to watch his content that he's already created, to keep his views going, and because that equates to revenue. We make about $6 per 1,000 views. Depends on the content that you're creating, depends on your niche and things like that. But obviously, if he's dependent on YouTube for his livelihood, then any time that he takes long amounts of time off is going to reduce his income. And that's really the truth of the matter. A lot of people think that just because we're on YouTube and we're creating content that we're making all kinds of money, and we got all kinds of sponsors sending us stuff, and it doesn't exactly work like that. I know a lot of recommendations for YouTubers are to create evergreen content. They keep saying, oh, create evergreen content that is will remain relevant throughout the years, so that when people do a search, they'll come back to your content. But what I'm finding is, especially since YouTube introduced short content, that you basically have to upload fresh content every other day. With shorts, you have to upload content pretty much every day. With long form content, you have to upload stuff probably a couple times, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Some YouTubers upload content every day. And so that's really the truth of the matter, is that YouTube is a lot like a treadmill, and you have to keep running to keep up. And so my heart goes out to Glenn. I hope everything works out okay, and that his wife has a speedy recovery. Okay, so that said, let's get on to our next topic here, and another story that is kind of related to all this, and that is Jim Lill has sort of returned to YouTube. And if you're not familiar with who Jim Lill is the YouTuber that sort of created this air guitar video where he basically makes a guitar without a body to prove that guitar tone does not come from the wood a guitar is made from, that it's basically the strings and the pickup. And he sort of stretched the strings across a couple of workbenches and played it with a slide, and it sounded great. And so this video that he made went viral. Of course, it's got over 2 million views, and it's sort of put Jim Lill on the map as far as the guitar YouTube community is concerned. He's sort of become a celebrity. He's got over he's pretty close to 200,000 subscribers. He's got 178,000 subscribers. But his last video was over a year ago. It was October of 2023 was the last video that he posted. And then he just kind of dropped off YouTube for a while. I guess he lives in Nashville. I guess he's he might be a touring guitar player, but he's definitely a working guitar player. And so he's probably been busy. But the thing is this is a perfect example of how you have to continually create content for your YouTube channel, because viewers, they'll disappear on you. Viewers will subscribe to your channel. They won't necessarily click on the notification bell, and then they may never come back to your channel ever again. So basically what happened is Jim released a video about how he turned his old car, this old, I think it's an HHR or something, Chevy HHR, is that what they are, Chevy? And he strung strings from the top of the windshield to the hood, and then played it with a slide guitar. And he posted this video and didn't really get the response that he thought he was going to get. And I think he was thinking, based on his previous videos, that he would post this video and get a lot of views. And so he pulled the video down, and he created another video explaining that he didn't get the views that he wanted. And so he was kind of frustrated with the YouTube algorithm, and he didn't think it was pushing his video out. And so the gist of the video is he's trying to drum up, he's trying to earn money to buy a new car. I guess at least that's what the video says. So I think that Jim thought that he could sort of ride on his previous success. And this really shows how fickle YouTube can be, and how you have to be, everybody says you have to be consistent when you're creating YouTube content, and you have to consistently post, you have to consistently engage with your subscribers. And so taking a year off really kind of almost resets the clock in a way. And so I think Jim is kind of experiencing that. So he did a video that's since been taken down, but he did a video basically appealing to his subscribers to watch this video and to share it. And then he did a live stream too that I didn't quite catch, but I noticed that it was on, and so I'm not sure exactly what that was all about either. But those two videos are gone. So really, it goes from his last video back in October of 2023 to this video. So there's a year gap in his video content. But this is a great video. He shows how he turned this car into a guitar, and he shot a music video. He wrote and recorded a song, and created a video for this song about how he's something about his car, and it's really kind of fascinating. But hopefully Jim will achieve some more success on YouTube and sort of get back into the groove here. He's got 14,000 views on this video, and it's only 2 days old, so I'd say that's a pretty good start. But I doubt that this one will go viral like his air guitar video. But let's check this one out real quick.
My name is Jim. I'm a musician in Nashville, and this is my car. I've driven it since high school. Sometimes it has little problems that I can fix, like this door handle, but I took it to the mechanic for an oil change, and...
Hello? Hey, Jim, I've never had to say this before, but you've got to get away from this car, man. It has so many problems, it is so rusted, there are holes I can fit my head through. I wouldn't have even hoisted it up if I'd known how bad this was. Don't get the oil change, don't fix it, don't put another $1 into this thing. You got to find something else. Oh, okay then.
So check that out. That's a great video. Jim is a really entertaining YouTuber, and he's created a lot of videos where he sort of analyzes where guitar tone comes from, and really that's a perfect example of how to get people to view your YouTube videos by sort of hitting them in the feels and getting them to maybe have an opinion one way or the other about something. Okay, so moving along to our next topic, and that is, let's talk about the Trump and Hello Kitty guitar hysteria. So if you're not aware, I mean, it's everywhere. Donald Trump has, I mean, I don't know if he's doing it, but it's sanctioned by him. It's licensed by him. It's official Donald Trump merchandise, I guess, which is a line of guitars. And here it is, the American Eagle series. So there's some acoustic guitars and the electric guitar, which kind of looked like a Gibson Les Paul, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And these are sold out. Look at this. This is $1,500 for a Gibson style. They kind of got this thing. You can't see it very well now, but it's a Gibson Les Paul style guitar. And I'm not sure how many of them there were, but these are sold out. And then he signed some autograph, I guess you could say. And they're saying that these were $11,000 for these guitars. And yeah, limited edition, numbered 1,200 available, a little over 1,200 available. And then some of these other ones, which are a little bit less. And so then we've got Hello Kitty. It's the 50th anniversary of Hello Kitty. And of course, Fender brought back the Hello Kitty guitar. This is a Squire. These are available for $500 a piece. And YouTube has just gone ballistic over the Trump guitars and the Hello Kitty guitars. There are so many YouTubers doing reviews on the YouTube or on the Hello Kitty and the Donald Trump guitars. I won't be doing reviews on the Hello Kitty or Donald Trump guitars. Don't have anything against either one of them, but it's just not my thing. There's plenty of other YouTubers out there that have done reviews on those. I'd rather try to stick with reviewing things or presenting things in a kind of a different perspective. I don't want to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And then that brings me to Gibson. Supposedly, Gibson issued a cease and desist order to these Donald Trump guitars because they're shaped like a Gibson Les Paul. Now, there's some strange things that are going on with the Gibson brand. First of all, Gibson announced that they seized, well, they didn't seize, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency seized $18 million worth of fake Gibsons. I think it was at the Port of Los Angeles. And they said it's the largest counterfeit musical instrument seizure ever. It was 3,000 counterfeit Gibson guitars, and they said it had a value, if they were sold, if these were real Gibson guitars and they were all sold, it would be over $18 million. And so I think it was on Tuesday, Gibson did a press conference talking about these guitars. And there were some Fender and PRS and different branded guitars among these counterfeit guitars. And so they seized them, and they'll probably try to, I don't know if you can press charges against Asian companies that make these things, but they might, I mean, just seizing them is a good way to keep them out of the U.S. product market. And they announced that these guitars will be destroyed. So that's kind of a bummer, because if these companies that built these guitars had actually built them with their own brand and sold them legitimately, these are probably decent guitars, and it's a shame that they're going to be destroyed. It's too bad they can't just replace the headstock logo on them or something like that, or stamp fake on them and then sell them as fake or something. I don't know. So that brings up an interesting question, because and I think a lot of other people were under the assumption that trademark law, patent law, when it comes to guitars, only applies to headstock, and it doesn't. I guess Gibson's got trademarks on their body shapes for all their guitars and things like that. And actually, speaking of Glenn Fricker, he did a video a little while ago where somebody he knows up in Toronto was making a Flying V style guitar, and they got a cease and desist letter from Gibson, and so they had to change the design of their guitar. Let me see if I can pull this video up.
Got a letter from my favorite guitar company, guess who? So, how does it feel to have a giant corporate behemoth which loves suing everybody write you a letter and crush your dreams?
Feels great.
What was in this letter? What did they say? Where did they get off?
Man, it was basically, you know what? You gotta change shape, stop using the, trademark verbiage. It was mainly hashtag, nothing more than that.
Okay. Yeah, I found that kind of.
So basically, Gibson sent him a cease and desist, and then he ended up changing the design. The YouTuber called Highline Guitars, who builds guitars, kind of addressed this topic on his YouTube channel. It talks about electric guitars and trademark infringement. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Highline Guitars, you're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll earn the honor and privilege of your subscription. In today's video, I wanted to touch on the subject of trademark infringement. And this is really important to guitar builders, and I think you'll see why as this video continues. But the reason I'm doing this is because recently I posted up a video which was titled Gibson versus MAGA. And as one would expect, the comment section was alive with a lot of comments regarding trademark infringement. And it's clear to me after reading those comments that most people simply don't understand what it means to infringe on another company's trademarks. Now, as I said, this is really important for guitar builders, especially those of you who are thinking about making and selling guitars.
So he goes on to explain how trademark works and why Gibson is so aggressive defending their trademarks, because they have to defend their trademarks because if they don't, they'll basically lose the right to defend their trademarks. Gibson has a trademark on their body styles. Fender does not have a trademark on their body styles because they never enforced that trademark, which is why you see so many guitars in the shape of a Stratocaster and Telecaster. Fender obviously has their logo trademark. They have the headstock trademarked and the name Stratocaster and Telecaster. But this all sort of leads to a bigger discussion about trademark and, what should be allowed to be trademarked and what shouldn't be. So that's why I'm kind of confused about Gibson sending the Trump guitars a cease and desist, because if you look at the Trump guitars, the headstock doesn't look anything like Gibson's headstock. And there are so many other companies out there making Les Paul style guitars. I've got one back here that's from Firefly. Looks just like a Les Paul to me. The headstock shape is different. And there's so many people, so many companies making the Les Paul style guitars. Why did they go after the Trump guitar? Because, like I said, the headstock doesn't look anything like it. So it's like, where do we draw the line on, a guitar is a guitar. Just like a hammer is shaped like a hammer. A hammer is a tool. A guitar is a tool. A car is, a tool kind of. A car, getting guitar and car mixed up. A car has four wheels, a steering wheel, windshield. A car looks like a car. A car looks like a car, looks like a car, looks like a car. Same with a guitar. A guitar looks like a guitar. So how can you trademark something that is almost like a universal design? It's like trademarking a fork or a camera. Or, it's like, oh, you can't make a camera because it looks like a camera. You can't build a guitar because it looks like a guitar. Even trademarking headstock shapes, to me, seems difficult, because eventually it's like copyrighting music, copyrighting a chord progression or copyrighting a melody. It's like, eventually we're going to run out of there's only 12 notes in Western music. You're eventually going to run out of melodies, distinct melodies. Eventually you're going to run out of distinct guitar shapes and headstock shapes, that if somebody small wants to get into guitar building, how are they going to do it? Because eventually, if everybody trademarked and patented their guitar shape, their guitar design, it would be very, very difficult to enter guitar building and come up with a unique shape. So I'm interested what other people have to say about trademark. Obviously, you should be able to trademark your name and your logo. Les Paul. I mean, Les Paul is a person's name. So what if there's a guy out there named Les Paul that wants to build, a guitar, or, wants to make soap or something like that? Or, is Gibson going to go after somebody named Les Paul if they start a business because their name is Les Paul? I think the trademark should only apply to guitars, that nobody else can make a guitar called Les Paul because they have that trademark, and you can't make a guitar under the Gibson brand because Gibson has that brand. But as far as like the Les Paul body style, I mean, it's almost pretty generic because it's based on a guitar shape. I mean, Gibson and Les Paul started making guitars, they were electrifying, almost electrifying acoustic guitars or jazz hollow body guitars or semi-hollow body guitars. And so guitars look like guitars. You know, they created the SG, which is sort of a unique shape, but it's very, very similar, at least roughly inspired by the Stratocaster. And so it's just kind of interesting how this whole trademark thing is starting to play out in the guitar world. Okay, so then that brings me to another topic of discussion, which is that a major, what I consider a major guitar manufacturer who builds a Les Paul style guitar, I wonder if Gibson has gone after them at any point in their lifespan. This guitar company is announcing that they are now building import guitars. So this would be the Heritage Guitar Company. Now, Heritage Guitars were founded by former Gibson employees in Kalamazoo, Michigan. If you go to Wikipedia, you can see that Heritage was founded in 1985 by 3 former employees of Gibson Guitar Company. Gibson decided in the early 80s, Gibson decided to close the Parson Street factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, due to excess production. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but they relocated most of its production to its factory in Nashville, Tennessee. Heritage Guitars was born out of that. And so the employees from Heritage started making Les Paul style guitar. And so they're very similar to the Les Paul, and they're pretty expensive, just like the Les Paul. But now Heritage is having built an import version of their Heritage guitars. And so this is really exciting because I've always been curious about the Heritage guitars. And so now they've come out with the H137, the Ascent collection. These are manufactured overseas to Heritage specs, and they use a little bit cheaper material and obviously much cheaper labor. And they're really nice looking guitars. And so they've got 2 of the Les Paul Jr. style guitars, one with P90s, one with humbuckers, and they're the covered humbuckers, which I think is really cool. And then they have carved top Les Paul style with dual humbuckers, and they offer quite a variety of colors here, which is really nice. Sunburst and solid colors. And let's take a look at the specifications here. So the specs are, the body material is Okuma, and I took a look at what that is in the wood database, and it is a similar wood to mahogany. And the wood is found in Central Africa. And so that is interesting. And so it's a laurel fretboard and maple neck. And these are bolt-on necks for the sort of Les Paul Junior style. And they are made in China. And let's see about the specifications on the Ascent. And let's see, that's a bolt-on neck as well. I didn't think that was a bolt-on neck. I thought that was a set neck. Is that the H150? It says H150. So that they're saying that as a bolt-on. Yeah, bolt-on neck. So anyway, that's really interesting. So check those out. Heritage Guitars is now importing guitars. So that kind of leads me to believe that maybe the writing is on the wall as far as sort of the gap between inexpensive and expensive guitars, that Heritage and Gibson and PRS and those companies are manufacturing very exclusive high-end guitars for some of us they're a little bit out of reach as far as cost goes. And so they're diving into the cheaper market, because the cheaper market, I think, is really expanding. And with Squire debut, Fender's gotten into the cheap market. Gibson hasn't really. I mean, they have the Epiphone, but the Epiphones are really starting to get pretty expensive themselves. And so it's interesting to see these guitar companies entering the cheap market. Okay, so I'm getting close to the time. I wanted to keep these under an hour. I have a tendency to ramble if I don't keep myself in check. Anyway, let's real quick go over some viewer comments. Hopefully we'll have some comments on this video so that we can talk about viewer comments next time. And so I did a video on cheap guitars and how if you get below $100, then cheap guitars are really cheap. Between $100 and maybe $250, they're pretty decent. And then between maybe $250 to $300 on upwards of $600, then you usually end up getting a guitar that is really good. And GetHawk-IJ8IS commented, I find the sweet spot is between $300 and $700. Picked up several Gretches, a Guild, a PRS, and a Hofner bass, all under $700. They have been fantastic. Minimal to no setup required. My Squire Bullet Telly and Epiphone Acoustic were both under $150, and both took major tweaking from me to get them playing well. Had some issues with people sort of trolling. When you run a YouTube channel, you've always got people that leave negative comments, and this is by Rob Rye, ROBRAAIII. Got to ignore the trolls, he says. Even the giant channels have haters. Constructive criticism or advice is one thing, but a single word insult comments just show that there's little going on in the mind that cooked up that gem. And this is about the Grote guitar that I reviewed. This is from Alan Webster 6329 that says, I have no idea how these companies make and sell these quality guitars. Back in the day, the cheapest, best guitar you could buy was a K. If they had these types of guitars when I started playing, I would have been great. It's kind of weird. Nowadays, guitars cost less than going to the grocery store. Pretty crazy, I'd say. Okay, so I wanted to highlight a few YouTubers that are under 1,000 subscribers, but they're hustling, they're trying. So I'd kind of like to give them a shout out so that you can see what's going on and that they can hopefully achieve their goals. First off is Brian of the YouTube channel Searching for Tone. Brian is a really entertaining YouTuber. He's just over 800 subscribers. I think he's at 810. So he's closing in on that 1,000 subscriber mark. And he buys a lot of the inexpensive guitars and pedals and things like that. He's got a few sponsorships, people sending him gear, and he's really entertaining. He's really funny. So give him a view. He's at Searching for Tone. So then next up is Ashley Guitar and Pedals, and his name is Ashley. He's from the UK, and he's got a really good take on things. I enjoyed the video that he did about the JHS / John Cordy sort of debate back and forth. So check him out. Is Ashley Guitar and Pedals. He's at 344 subscribers. So he's pretty close to the halfway mark, and wish him a lot of success, and hopefully he will continue to grow. So then lastly, this is a YouTuber named Brant, and his YouTube channel is Ton Jaeger 72, and he's got 56 subscribers. So he's pretty much just started out. And so if you if you get a chance to check out his channel and help support these YouTubers on their quest to reach 1,000 subscribers. Okay, so now I'd like to announce that I'm going to have an end of the year giveaway. I'm going to announce what items I'm giving away this weekend. Since we have the Thanksgiving holiday weekend coming up, I'm going to have some time off to do some more content. And so hopefully I'll put together a video about the giveaway, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. There's going to be some pedals in there, and there's probably going to be there is going to be a guitar. I'm just not sure which one it's going to be yet. So stay tuned for that. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully you find the podcast format interesting, and let me know what you think in the comments, if this is a good thing or not. If it is, like I said, I'm only going to do it once a month because it's definitely a lot of work. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time here on the Guitar YouTubers Community Podcast. I'm Jace Allen. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.